Hey, it's Terry Gorry, and this is the Irish Law and Small Business podcast. In this video, I want to clear up a little bit of confusion that can arise if you are buying an apartment. In Ireland, if you're buying an apartment, you're buying a leasehold interest in a property. It's a long leasehold. It could be for 200 years, it could be for 500 years, it could be for 1,000 years. It's a long leasehold, and it is sometimes referred to as a freehold equivalent. But the fact that it's leasehold causes people some concern and raises some questions. There's no issue in relation to getting a new lease at the end of the existing long lease, for example. So if the existing long lease is 200 years or 400 years or 500 years, at the end of that time you get a new lease. There's no problem there whatsoever. The other little bit of confusion that can arise in relation to the rent. The long lease may have a rent in it of €1 per annum, or one old Irish pound or punt per annum, or 5 punts, or €5 or €10 per annum. Some people are concerned about this, and are concerned that perhaps over the last 5, 10, 15 years, the previous owner of the apartment who's selling it now may not have paid the rent, and there may be outstanding rent. The question of rent on these long leases for apartments is purely notional. In other words, it's in the lease. It must be in the lease because a lease must have a rent. An apartment must be a leasehold property, a leasehold interest, because it allows the landlord, when he's building a block of apartments, say it's 20 apartments in a block initially, the leasehold interest in those apartments allows the owner of the property, the developer, to set certain terms and conditions to allow people who buy apartments to be bound by the same basic covenants, conditions, rules and regulations. And that's why it's a leasehold interest. But the rent is never paid. The rent is never demanded, it's never collected, it's never outstanding. And when you're buying an apartment, you can actually, your solicitor can look for a statutory declaration from the vendor that no demand for rent has ever been made, and no breach of a covenant or condition in the apartment lease, in the lease for the apartment, has actually occurred. So the question of let or rent being outstanding or being a problem is a complete and utter red herring. There is no concern on that score. Hope this clarifies the situation for you if you are thinking about buying an apartment and you have some little concern in your mind about the rent. You might give the video a thumbs up down below if you've been. So thanks a lot.